It is late 1959, and amidst allegations of mass executions back home, Fidel Castro comes to America to set the record straight.
I have said very clear that we are not communists.
He told us
People not only need freedoms, not only need free press.
I went to jail because I was a journalist.
Individuals guarantee the right of living and all the human rights.
Human rights? Castro laughed at the whole world when he speaks about human rights.
The thing is, Castro doesn't talk much about human rights. Eyewitness News has tried to get Cuba to respond to charges of brutality, torture, and other human rights abuses, to get Cuba's side of the story. But repeated requests to the Cuban interest section here in Washington have met with complete silence. The same silence human rights organizations have met with over the years when trying to deal with Cuba. Amnesty International.
We have not been able to enter the country.
Freedom House.
Probably more closed in that respect than the Soviet Union currently is.
America's Watch.
We've been trying for 4 years, and the government has never given us permission to visit the island.
Why not? Castro's only answer that we know of came in 1977.
We are very allergic to all forms of investigation and interference in our country's affairs. We have always opposed anyone inspecting us.
Cuba is particularly wary of inspection by the foreign press. In this exclusive video obtained by Eyewitness News, film cameras were allowed inside the Isle of Pines prison, but only years after it had closed down. And when allowed into the prisons of Combinado del Este and Guanajay, only common prisoners and their quarters could be filmed. This closed-door policy has in turn opened the doors to speculation about how many political prisoners remain and how they're treated.
I think they have somewhere between 13,000 and 15,000. Figures I've seen that there are 15,000 or even more political prisoners I think are absurd.
We estimate somewhere between several hundred and several thousand, which is quite a broad range.
We do know over the years Cuba has released thousands of prisoners at the request of people like Jacques Cousteau and Jesse Jackson. Those freed tell horror stories about their imprisonment, but Castro supporters are skeptical, even those who admit there may have been some abuse.
The Cuban revolutionary government did not have a systematic policy of human rights violations in Cuban jails at any time.
In 1980, Cubans seeking asylum at the U.S. interest section in Havana were met by an angry mob. Then interest chief Wayne Smith blamed the Cuban government. Today, Smith also blames the U.S.
The blame for abuses lies initially with the Cuban government. But shouldn't the United States be asking itself, what can we do to improve things?
Among the things that could use improvement, relations between Cuba and its churches. Tomorrow, new charges of religious persecution in Cuba. With an Eyewitness News Extra, I'm Ileana Varela.